Our attitude in whatever we do is we're all participating because each and every one of us is trying to please Krishna by our particular activities. So let us pray that Krishna is accepting this offering today, hopefully done purely with the intention to please him and with no other motive. Okay. In the spirit of loving devotion. I always take a few minutes briefly to explain that the materials and the methods are a little different. This is not just a lecture, this is a facilitation. So the purpose of this type of an activity is to try to give participants additional benefit for the time that's given. There are methods which help people retain a little bit more and hopefully get a deeper understanding of whatever philosophical points the Lord is trying to share with us as instructions for our spiritual well-being. So if the materials are new to you or whatever, just follow along. It's not that difficult. And we'll be explaining exactly what to do and how to follow along. The first step in a facilitation is that we just check over the materials together so that you know exactly what you have. Some materials are more relevant to today, and some are perhaps something you can use in the future as a reference in your studies. Perhaps some of you study a lot, some of you not so much, but in any event, it's a resource. And resources are like that. You may use some of it, but it's there for you. Okay, so if you kindly take out your study bank, and this study bank has many purposes. It's not just an information bank, it's actually also a program guide. It is set up in a way that we can follow what we'll be seeing on the screen. So what you have here are your materials in print, but also you have the benefit of seeing things visually on the screen as we go along. You've been provided with a little exam board and a pen. So when I recommend that you fill in something, then you know what the answer is. Because here, it's just like a form. We all fill in forms. If you have to go to the doctor, if you have to go to the FRO, it's customary to fill out information before you start. So this is your little information bank, and we're giving you here answers for many of the questions. Some of the answers are provided in an appendix. So we'll be going through the structure of this little handout for you. Remember, it's not only a program guide, but it's a resource for you. By the way, whatever slides that we have created for your benefit are available to you. All you need to do is arrange with Abai or me personally to put them on a pen drive. And we've also tried to compress them more, integrate them more, so they're more pleasing in style, and they're also like your smartphones. Everything's in one phone now. You don't need 5 pieces of equipment. You can actually get everything from one device. So when you see the slokas, we've reduced the number of slides, which reduces the size actually of the gigabytes, not even 1 gigabyte this time, so that you can easily store it. Okay? Everybody clear so far? You've got your folders? All right. So let's begin now. Let's take a look at what we have. You have your title here, and on your first page, your study bank. And it starts with what we call, it's got karma yoga and instructional objectives. And that is what the facilitator hopes to accomplish within the prescribed time. So we'll be having a few slides to help you understand those. There are 3. 3 means what will you do, what will you know, and what will you be at the end of the fixed prescribed time. 3 objectives. I should know something I didn't know. I should be able to do something I couldn't do before. And I should also have a values change, a change of attitude, a change of understanding in the heart. Because Krishna consciousness is that. It's a change of heart from material to spiritual. Then we go proceedingly through general to more and more specific. So general, just like an information form at the hospital, you put your name, your age, nothing too specific. So we start with general, and then we go to more specific, which would be topics. And then we go to even more specific, which is sequence. So one is structural, and the other is lineal. Take you through the material. If you turn the page, you'll see on the back the themes that we will be circling. Which ones are important in this chapter called Karma Yoga? And you'll also see additional ways to study or look at a chapter. And Prabhupada stressed many angles of vision should be undertaken when we read his books, not just one. We should see something from many, many different angles. We've also provided for you another we call study strategy or learning strategy. The slokas are presented on 4 sides. And these slokas have boldface type for what we call content words. A wise reader will look for the important words rather than try to just get everything. Some words have more content than others. So the wise reader learns to pick up, okay, this is important, this is important, this is important. So the key words in each sloka have been bold-faced for you. So it helps you try to understand, yes, this is what I should be looking for. All right, so you have, I think it's 4 sides for the 43 slokas. If you turn the page, you'll see additional slokas that have been chosen by the VIHE study guide, and there are a total of 10. These 10 slokas are considered to be the philosophical essence of this chapter. And you'll see this also reinforced in Prabhupada's book called Key Verses, his famous quotes. You'll see many of these have been indicated there by the BBT. So you'll see you have 1 key memory verse, and you have 9 other slokas which are thematic. If you're a student at VIG, the memory verse is required. If you're a preacher, all of them are required. So it's here. You have the Sanskrit and the English, and you have, again, I think I bold-faced it. I think I bold-faced typed that. Okay? So that's another feature of your little program guide. Now, we're not going through all of this today, but just so you know what you have, again, this is, if you have a library, you can't read all your books, but you know what's in the library, okay? All right, then after that, and by the way, the information has always been divided according to the topics. That way it's not too vast. So you'll see whatever we've given you, it's broken down. There are 4 topics in this chapter. So whatever information you get is presented according to topic. That should be helpful for you. Chunking is another skill. I break it down so I can assimilate it, understand it, and remember it. All right, if we continue, we'll see another section here called definitions. Now this is like a glossary in the Bhagavad-Gita or any book. In the back you'll find words that are generally important and you should understand the meaning. So here, these are all coming from purports. So that Prabhupada often picks a word in Sanskrit or some kind of particular word in English. So for clarification, you should have his understanding of that word. So that too is all broken down according to the 4 topics. Everybody following along okay? Anybody lost? All right, too fast? Now we have to move fast because we have a lot to cover. And we want to emphasize the visuals because visuals are the medium of the day. Even the rickshaw walla has a smartphone. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody looks for pictures. If it doesn't have a beautiful picture, they don't bother. So we're trying to take advantage of technology while we have it and help you apply it to your spiritual understanding. All right, so we've gone through the definitions. That's vast. We're not going to try all of those, perhaps just a few. Again, it's a resource. And I think that's 6 sides, quite a bit. Okay, and we've even included quotations from Bhagavad-Gita or other books that Prabhupada gave the whole quotation. Now, the next section is called Analogies and Examples. An analogy is a concrete representation of an abstract point. Prabhupada relies on them heavily, and Krishna uses them as well. So here, again, by section, I researched and I found about 25. I probably could stretch it a little bit more. But whenever I found an analogy or I found an image word that I thought could help you understand, we converted it into a slide with the text now. Before we just had the slide with the caption, but now you've got the text to go with it in your slides. So it's quite more developed. Then after that, this is your own checklist. Prabhupada says, how will you know if you're advancing in spiritual life? He said, ultimately, you have to be able to test yourself. So what we've done here is we have provided, I think this is 3 sides, a rating scale of 1 to 5 for whatever I could find in the purports that Srila Prabhupada said, these are the characteristics of a person in Krishna consciousness. Or sometimes more specifically, a person who is actually self-realized. He defined in the 2nd chapter the characteristics and behavior of a self-realized person. Prabhupada said, how will you know if you're advancing? You yourself would know. Just as if you're eating a meal, are you feeling satisfied? Are you less attracted to the material and more attracted to the spiritual? Proportionately, that will indicate your own progress. And somebody else may not be able to help detect that. Perhaps your spiritual master can spend some time with you, but ultimately, you have to look after your airplane, right? So this should help you look after your airplane. We'll be going down the list and we'll pick out a few. Again, too many. This could be a whole period in itself. All right, if we continue, we will see here scriptural references. That's required. How many books has Prabhupada cited? Which ones and where? Any book does that. After that, there's a tiny little section called numerical inventory. And this is, again, just checking over what's in this chapter. Number of verses, how many topics, how many memory verses, how many verses Krishna speaks, Arjuna. It's just a nice little inventory. Now we get to the next section, which we call the appendix. The appendix has charts in it, okay? 2 of the charts, back to back, are from Tyag Chaitanya, done many years ago for the VIG. And these 2 charts are related to this particular chapter. Then there are some charts, and I found this worked pretty well. I didn't know that my slides would photocopy. So some of the chart-like slides that we have, we've put in here, and somehow I'm surprised they were pretty clear, even the white didn't drop out. So we'll be using these charts as a reference when we understand the topics and the flow. All right, then there are mind maps. I used to rely solely on mind maps, but actually now I'm finding with the slides it can convey things very quickly and perhaps more effectively. But anyway, whatever mind map I had done on this chapter, it's included. And then at the very end, this is a new feature. We've added a question bank. This is not to intimidate anybody and make you think you're going to have to pass an exam. But the purpose of this, again, it's a study strategy. Just imagine you're going into a shop. If you're looking for something, you're attentive. If you're browsing, your mind may be somewhere else. And you may happen to bump into what you want. But if you're looking for something, you're focused. So the purpose of the question bank, again, there are 43 questions and there are 43 slokas. So what has been done here by section again is that there's a question that should force you to look at the sloka with an attentive mind. What is in this sloka? Otherwise, reading doesn't really produce more than 10%. And you can hear that confirmed by Garga Muni. I appreciate whenever he gives a program, he makes references to Oxford studies, and we've had same in our society studies that show reading by itself can produce 10% retention, that's all. Very little. You have to be an active reader, and you have to be looking. And even just listening to a lecture, 20% retention. 8 hours later, you don't remember what was said. So that is why we are providing slides. This is multisensory handouts, and I also work on a tablet. I'll be standing up in a minute. Okay, so everybody did your little walk through the supplies? Everybody with us? Okay, so we're ready to go. Now I need to stand up. Okay, so first of all, if I can. I do this for a lot of reasons, just so that I can be indicating closer to the screen what you're seeing. Okay. And also so that I can hold up, because again, we're trying to increase the benefit. So that means if you're seeing 2 or 3 things and your attention, you're getting more empowerment. Okay, everybody agree with that one? All right. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pretend that this is your computer, and we're going to open it to the book. And what's your book? Bhagavad-Gita. Okay, very good. So we know where we are. And we're going to open the next file. We're imagining we're opening the next file. And we're going to go to chapter 3, right? And we're going to see that that has 43 what? 43 verses. So now you can start filling in your paper. So on that first line up there, chapter title, it's called what? Karma Yoga. So just put abbreviation. In school, they don't make you write everything out. They use abbreviations, especially in sciences and mathematics and chemistry, physics. So this should appeal to those of you who are attracted to those kinds of pursuits. So we're in the section called Karma Yoga. It's the 3rd chapter, and it is how big? Louder? Very good. Now we ask for articulation because that's also one of the 4 senses, to say something. If you say it, studies have shown you'll use it. If you don't say it, studies have shown you probably won't apply it. So it's important for us to apply this philosophy. Our spiritual lives are in question. This is not just another subject, chemistry, math, history. No. We are conditioned souls to some or another degree, and we have to understand Krishna's instructions so we can follow them. So this is critical. So, okay, so Karma Yoga, and it is 43 slokas, all right? And the next thing we'll find, it's in the section also called Karma Yoga. There are 3 sections to the Bhagavad-Gita. Each is 6 chapters. Karma Yoga, Bhakti-yoga, and Jnana Yoga. So we are now in the first section, 3rd chapter. Is everybody oriented? Right, this is called orientation. I need to know where I am. And then it takes a while, and it's like, I don't know, if you have a computer or something like that, it takes a while for the information to rise to this. You have to wait, and then it shows up. Okay? Our minds are like that. So that's why we're getting them oriented. Where are we in general? Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 43 slokas. Okay, Karma Yoga section. Now I know where I am. Now we're ready to add more information. Information has to be added to what you've built on. If you build a house, you don't put the bricks on the 4th layer without the ones in the 3rd layer. So we build by layers, okay? And we're going to be putting in 4 topics here. 4, okay? And our 4 topics, we'll be showing the slides. But before, you just get the idea what we're going to do. Before we go any further, we're going to go back and we're going to look at some slides from the instructional objectives, because today we're going to do what Narada Muni often does. Narada Muni preaches by analogies, right? Extended ones sometimes. And there's a purpose to that because we get lessons from that. Just as if we were reading the 11th canto and the 24 gurus, there's a lesson with each of the gurus. So today we're going to get some lessons we're going to go to some of our other topic slides. Let's take a look at what in the past have been some of the lessons. These are what the wise student applies. Okay? So first of all, let's go to the general ones of I. Let's go back before we do the watercolor one. We'll go back to the other ones, and then we're adding a new one. And we're going to learn from the watercolorist a smart way to learn. Okay? Get examples from life. Right? Okay, so no, not this one now, the other ones, okay? The other general ones. There we go. Okay, and we've picked about 10. Okay, so let's start with this one. A wise learner does this. He tries to put the puzzle together, right? 700 slokas is quite a bit. So 43 today, what we do is we piece it all together for you. Okay, that's your first tip. Next tip. We study on 3 levels. We study from the overview, the sky. We study the topics, the land, and we go into the purports, the ocean. So that's your second tip, right? Not just one. Each has its advantage, each has its disadvantage. Okay? Next tip. These are all strategies. Okay, next one. We always start with the big picture. We don't start with details. Start with the big picture. So what's the third one? Start with the big picture. I think the heat has everybody exhausted. I couldn't hear you. Now, there you go. That's good kirtan. Because kirtan means, Shravanam kirtan, then Vishnu Smarnam. You'll remember. If you sit there and fall asleep, you're not going to walk out here with too much. Next picture. Oh, from general to specific. Right? That's the sequence. You start with something general and then you add in the details. In that order, not reverse. People often go the other way. They get it backwards. Next tip. Multisensory. So you notice you're writing, you're hearing, you're asked to speak, you're seeing. You're using 4 senses. And at the end you get a cookie. All 5. Okay? Next. Build a strong study foundation. If you know the structure and it's strong, then you can build on it. If the building has a weak structure, it might collapse. That's true of learning. So that's what we're going to do today. We want to help you build a strong structure for chapter 3. Next tip, stepping stones. This is a strategy I walk you through. Just as we walk through the study guide, we're going to walk through all 43 slokas fast. Step, 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 step. Okay, that's another strategy. Next strategy, the key information. It's usually in the middle, the highlight. This is not always, but usually in the middle. In the middle of the Gita is the 9th chapter. In the middle of the Mahabharata is the Gita. In the middle of the day, Lord Chaitanya and Krishna come. It's the high point in drama. It's rising, falling action. The sun goes up and then it goes down. Okay? That's a strategy. Another strategy, let's try one more. Yeah, there it is again. You'll see the pendant, any design, necklace, mala, there'll be something that's emphasis. So we'll take a look at that. Do we find some important information tucked into the middle? Okay, another strategy? Organize. Right, we've tried to organize your study. If you have a box and things are dumped into it, you can't find anything, right? And you don't even want to look, it's a mess, you close it. But if you have like a bag that has compartments, then things are easily stored. So we're going to try to help you put the compartments from your study guide into your mind. That's a strategy. Everybody okay with that? Everybody agree? Yeah. You look at that kitchen, you'd want to go in there and cook. But if it were a mess, you'd say, I'm sorry, I have something else to do. Okay, next. And your attitude. Right. Prabhupada said attitude is the degree to which you make advancement in spiritual life. So do you want to be the fellow on the left or the fellow on the right? The one on the right, yeah, attitude for the follower. The one in the middle, he's just spaced out. He's neither one, so you don't want to be that either, okay? So just make sure, and smiling is helpful. And remember, Krishna consciousness should be joyfully performed. And it says that's one of the symptoms of Brahma Bhuta, he's joyful. So if all of you are smiling, you've made it. Okay? Next. That's it. Okay, now we're going to entertain you for 5 minutes. You've sat through this. We're going to look at a few previous slides that we cut and we put titles on to get some tips from an artist. Now, I had been trained in my background as an art teacher. So I found this quite relevant because it's exactly what my professors told me. They always said, work the whole canvas, okay? So we're going to take a look first at the slides that we cut with the stage. And you'll see how something that looked very difficult, this looks difficult, right? If I said, can you paint this? You'd say, never. But if you see how he did it, you'd say, well, maybe I can do it too. So if you look at the Bhagavad-Gita and it's that thick and you think, oh my goodness, I'll never get it. But if you apply the same system, that's where we're learning from the artist. It's not a big deal. Okay, agree? Everybody agree? It's just a matter of I know how to do it, that's all. You got the key. All right, let's take a look. There are 8 stages. First you start with a blank page. That's the brain, right? Nothing there. Okay, let's see what's the next step. Graded light wash. Overview. Not very general. Okay, did you see that just at the top? Okay, let's look at the next one. Now they put the halftone wash, getting a little deeper now. I'm ready for more philosophy. Next one. Oh, I'm going to work at the topics. I block the areas in. Am I working on one corner, one leaf? No. Did I draw the ladybug on the flower? No. That's final detail. We're working with general to specific. Follow the sequence? All right, what's the next stage? Deep tone areas. Oh, now I'm going more deeply into my topic. Okay, let's see the next one. I can start making some strokes now that are setting up the structure and defining things a little bit more. Now have you noticed it's emerging from the paper? It was a blank paper, like the mind, blank. But we have to put something in that'll help you remember Krishna. Okay, let's see what's next. Contour lines. Yes, these are actually shadow edges. An edge is just where the shape turns away from your vision. It's called a contour. So those are really setting a definition in now, more detail, right? Okay, let's see what's next. Dark tone shadows. Have you noticed now the thing is looking quite like something I can recognize? And how many steps? 7. We only have one more. What's next? Highlights. If you read and study, we want to know what the highlights are, right? What's important for me to remember? Without the highlights, that's just white. They add white. It's like when the body dies, the soul leaves, and the way they can tell is the light in the eye goes. Because the light from the soul is what's coming from your eye. The first way they can tell a person has left his body is the light is gone. So an artist knows that at the very end, he puts the life into the picture. He puts the white highlights, the life, the spirit. The spirit is being put in. Once that's done, let's take a look at how it looks. In 8 stages. Now we're going to be watching. It's going to take about 5 minutes, but it's worth it. And the music's a little bit much, but they speed it up. This painting, so you can see how fast it goes. Okay, you ready? And what I'll be doing is I'll be reviewing the stages for your study. Okay? Okay, overview. I don't think you've got the right music. Is that what's coming with the movie? That's something else. This is instrumental music. I think you've got to get the movie with the video. There you go. This is a little bit like a Charlie Chaplin background sound. Okay, now he's blocking in the topics and taking a deeper look at them. There's the stage where we're getting a little bit of an indication of some structure. I think this painting was probably done in about 15 minutes. If you look at it, it looked like forever, huh? Okay. Again, defining something specific, pointing out some important parts. And notice how everything is still washed, general, not too detailed. So this is when we start to go into our verses a little bit more, looking for important points. Now actually, if you wanted to do a painting and you watch the video, you could probably do the same thing. The point is, keep it in mind. Learn from other areas what I want to be able to do. The answers might be in something you never suspected. Okay? Okay, now we're getting some form in there just by the depth of the tone. All right. And notice now he's using the brush in different ways. But you get the idea that it's a forest scene, right? Before you weren't sure. It could have been anything. And we're going to see what else he's doing now. Again, darker tones. That means more depth in our study. We don't want to just have a Brahmajyoti effect. We want depth. Definitely getting deep there. We hope our philosophical understanding of Krishna's instructions are quite deep. Okay? Now it's quite attractive now. You have an idea. Oh, now he's getting quite brave. Really strong lines. We've gone away from wash stage to now he's set up another level of value. And even more and more detail. Remember, general to specific. I don't know how many of you ever watched Charlie Chaplin movies. Prabhupada loved them. Did you ever see them? It sounds like the old days. They didn't have. They weren't talkies. They just had piano music like this. Okay. Okay. So keep thinking. Yeah. This is starting to look quite difficult, but I can't believe it. Power went. Oh, there we go. Krishna. What happened? Are we going to have a slideshow? Well, Krishna's always putting us a surprise, huh? Is there a problem with our power here? Oh, with this one. Okay. So, do you think we'll have power? We have to wait for the generator to start. Okay, so in any event, maybe Krishna thought that was enough of the Charlie Chaplin music. But you get the idea? Okay, you can follow that. All right, let us now go to filling out our form a little bit. This is one thing I learned as a school teacher, especially with children. You always had an activity. If you don't, they'll start beating each other up. Give them something to do. So let's go back to our study sheets, all right? Okay, it looks like something's coming on again. Let us, Krishna. You never know what the Lord has in mind, huh? Something happening? Okay. Let us put our next step, break down topics, okay? Follow along with me. I've got this, and the battery's 100%, so let's hope we go. Okay, we're going to, I guess, a little bit of a surprise, okay? How's our volume? Can we get a little bit more? Oh, there we go, Krishna. Now, it might look at this point that this is too black or too dark, but actually you can see he has created 3 levels. He has the wash in the background and the medium forest, and then the really depth thing right in the front. So you get different layers. Like Photoshop. Photoshop does that. You'll get different layers, okay? All right, now he's definitely doing tiny little details with his brush. We can look at fine points. Maybe after this you'll want to run to the store and get a paintbrush and a paper and try it yourself. Okay. How far are we on the movie? Is it pretty close to the end? Oh, we're pretty good, yeah. We're getting there. It's still pretty amazingly fast. Okay, and he's doing a scraping, a lifting a little bit. And he's doing that also to get highlights. Sometimes they don't just add white, they scrape, they lift the color. How are we on the time? Are we close to the end? Almost there. Again, just some depth in the areas that were topics, so we'll be doing that when we look at the topics. Now, obviously, he knows what he's doing, but again, if you were just to follow along as an apprentice, after a while, you'd get the idea yourself. Okay? So hopefully today we'll be giving you some more ideas about how to go about your own study. Whatever I give you in these study banks, these are a model, not only an answer to chapter 3, but a model for other things. Okay, did you see that? Interesting. All right, let us now go back to our study bank, and we're going to start filling a little bit of information, and with the help of slides. Abhay is going to take us now to the topic breakdown slide. It's also in your appendix. Okay? So he's going to go to topics, and we have 5 slides, 6, right? We have the chapter. We are what? In the Bhagavad-Gita, and everybody knows how big it is now, right?
Yes.
And everybody knows the title.
Yes.
Good, because a lot of people don't know that. So you've got that advantage. Then the next thing is we're going to look at the breakdown chart. Okay? There it is for you. You also have that in your study bank. All right, this is meant to make it easy. We have how many topics? 4. Very good. And let's take a look at the numbers. Now, someone said, come on, I don't want to go that far. But let's see how to make it easy. 7, 8, and 9 are in a row. Not in a row in a sequence, but those numbers in a row. So 7, 8, and 9 are 3 of the breakdowns, right? 7, 8, and 9. And an easy way to remember 19 is the number of foot marks on Radharani's feet, or Krishna's feet. So 7, 8, 9, and what? 19. So that's the size. The size also indicates importance. A lot of them are 19, so that means that's very important. Now let's look at the code. And you can fill in your chart on this, all right? So you're going to write in the code, you're going to write on the first one, RW, question mark, and WD, question mark. Okay, can you put that in really fast? You got it on your paper? Everybody find where you write it? Write it. It makes a big difference. No, in the front. You have the chart in your appendix. But if you go to the first page, can you find it? If somebody next to you looks confused, help the person, all right? We call it study buddy. It's a cooperative. It's not competitive. Most schools run on competition. One person gets it and everybody else fails. So that's not the idea here. That's the material concept. Cooperation is Krishna consciousness. Cooperating with Krishna and his devotees. So help each other. Okay? RW question mark and WD question mark. Okay? We'll tell you in a minute. We'll make it a surprise. The next one is KK and KY. So fill it in really fast. Just make the letters. How many did that? Did you get it done? Good. Next is KY and a big sun. Sunshine, light. The next one is 4 exclamation marks, L and A. Okay, did you all write it in? Take the time to do it because it's for your benefit. We go to trouble to help you. But it's like if you put some good food in front of a child and he says, I don't want it, what's the benefit of the food? You know, it's prepared, it's there, it's ready to go. All you have to do is add water and stir and eat it. Okay? So take the time, you'll remember it better. And you have a reference later. If you walk away with a blank sheet, then what did you get? Okay? RW, WD, KK, KY, KY with the sun, and watch out, L and A. Now let's tell you what they mean. Do I renounce work or do I work in devotion? Yay! Krishna gives a very definitive answer. Do I what? Renounce work or work in devotion? Next, I go from being a taking person to a giving person. Materialists exploit. Devotees give. Devotees have a very generous heart. So I go from karma kanda, whereas I want the fruit, to karma yoga. I give the fruit to Krishna. It's his. I'm a thief if I take it. Next, karma yoga, to set the example. Even if I'm perfected, I perform my duty to set the example. Krishna does that. Okay? Very important. Even if you're a realized soul, you don't have to perform prescribed duty, but they do it to set the example because people will follow. 19 points there. And the last section is beware of what? Lust and anger. Oh, you figured that one out. Right. If you'll notice, the 3 chapters that we had of Bhagavad-Gita always end in a watch out step. Chapter 1, destruction of a dynasty. Right? Chapter 2, it had from contemplation to attachment to lust, then anger, then bewilderment, and then, wow, the downfall sequence. So you'll see this downfall sequence in all 3 chapters, also at the end. That means watch out. This material world is set up as a trap. It's a trap. And we have fallen into it. Now we have to climb out with the help of Prabhupada and Gita, okay? So now you know 4 topics. Let's review them. Do I renounce work or? I work in devotion. And that's how many verses? 9. Okay? And the next one is from what? Being a taking karma kandya to a giving karma yogi. That's how many verses? 7. And I go from karma yoga, I perform duty, even if I'm realized, to do what? Set the example. Yes, example. People will follow. They'll follow a natural leader. If he does the right thing, they'll do the right thing. If he does the wrong thing, they'll do the wrong thing. Children will do what you do, not what you say. Right? And the last one is beware of 2 things. Lust and anger. That's also in chapter 18. Actually, the first one's in chapter 18. This comes up all the time. Lust and anger. But Prabhupada tells you how they can be spiritualized. How they can be spiritualized. Okay? So now you know your topics. If you built a strong foundation, just like in the watercolor. How many of you didn't know that before? Is this new for you? Raise your hands. How many of you found this is new? Okay, others, you knew this already, right? You knew this information? The breakdowns. Did you know the breakdowns? Some of you have studied, perhaps. Some of you knew. Okay. Anyway, it's reinforcement for you. You can see it in a new format. All right, now let's look at some more information. Let's look more at our topic slides. Here's our first one. What was it again? Renunciation of work or working in devotion. Now fill in the section 1 to 9. You can do that same thing after you put 9 slokas, put exactly where. Because I know it's 9, but I know it's the first 1 to 9. And here we have a fellow, the heart. He is going to work in devotion, and everybody else around him is going to renounce work. They'll be dead stones. The picture should help you remember the philosophical point. That's the idea. We try to use a picture clever, try to make it a little clever, so you can remember this point. Let's look at topic number 2. Who remembers it? What was topic number 2? I go from karma kanda to karma yoga. How many slokas? Yes, there was 7, and it's from 310 to 316. Okay, karma kanda to karma yoga, topic 2. And next one, karma yoga and perform detached work to set the example. That's King Janak. I think yesterday was the appearance day of Sita, and there she is. He found her while he was plowing a field. That's a beautiful little picture. I just love it. Huh? So the idea in there in the sloka is that by prescribed duty, he attained perfection. So don't think it's not the way to do it. It is a way to do it, if it's done properly. Plus, he has to train the citizens. Next. Beware of what? Lust and anger. And that's from 36 to 43. So write those numbers in, because that's important. Because when you see the slides, everything else is broken down according to those numerical sections. That way, now remember, like the painting, the details are becoming a little clearer. We're not just groping in the fog. We sort of know what's where. Okay? And by the end, hopefully you'll be very clear on where this sloka tells me this or this or that. Okay? Got that? All right, now the next thing we're going to do is go to our study bank, and I want you to turn the page, and we're going to go to the themes. So the chart, I don't know if you have the chart for the themes. We're going to circle the important themes in this chapter. Okay? We should know those. These themes appear to a greater or lesser degree in all the chapters. But some chapters focus on some themes more. So the first one, please circle character number 2. What's number 2? Do you all find how some people I look, they don't have their charts. Go to this the first page, the second side. These aren't numbered, unfortunately. Okay, there you'll see a list. Abai, can you show them the? There it is. Okay, you see it on the chart? Circle number 2. Characteristics of a self-realized person. Very important. Number 2. Circle that one. Okay. That's a big theme in this chapter. How does he act? Especially in relationship to other people who are not as advanced. This is important for us. How do we deal with the people who don't know what we have learned? You have to be careful. You can turn them away from Krishna if you don't do it properly. Next, levels of knowledge. That's very important. Each chapter of the Gita takes you to a higher level of knowledge. In the first chapter, the realization should be life brings problems. The second chapter, it should bring you to the stage, I need a guru. The third, if I do something, I better offer it to Krishna. Each chapter is a level of knowledge. Increased knowledge means increased benefit. Don't think you don't need to study. If you want to stay on a low level, don't study. That's okay. But increased knowledge obviously brings you greater benefit. Okay? Everybody agree with that one? Yes. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. Okay, mind and sense control. Very important. How to control the mind, lust, and anger. What do I do? What's Krishna's remedy? He tells us. How do I control? Oh, we all have it. This body is proof that we have lust. This body means I had material desires that manifested this way. And whatever I do now is going to manifest after this body. If you want a spiritual body, you better stop doing this. Everybody, all of us sitting here have prarabdha karma. The idea is we don't keep it up. We stop it. Bhagavad-Gita teaches us how to stop this business. Endless bodies. Oh, birth, death, old age, disease, again and again, every species. We don't, come on, we've awakened to that truth. Now we have to go higher. How do we get out of this? Next item would be renouncing work or working in devotion. There's our big topic. Circle that one. And circle 10A, very important. Relationship of Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti. 3 doers. Prakriti, Kriya, Manani, very important. The person who's covered by Maya, he thinks he's doing everything. Those of us who are taking to Krishna consciousness little by little, we have theoretical knowledge. We're not the body, we're not the doers, but we're still mistaken. We're not out of the fog yet. But the more you purify, you'll recognize the fog. You will. Krishna will give you that internal, oh, this is a dream I'm watching. I'm up with him. I'm watching this body, this mind. I'm watching a dream. We're all watching a movie. This is a movie. We're in it. Okay, the next thing. Vanashram. Very important. Each of us took birth according to guna and karma. You have to work according to that. You'll be forced to work according to that. The gentleman over there is not able to do what Amataji over here could do, and she cannot do what he can do. You take birth, and you're forced to work according to the modes of nature. That is how the Varnashram system is set up. Plus, it was aimed at bringing people to worshiping Vishnu and attaining the spiritual kingdom. That's the real reason of Varnashram. It's not a caste system. That is the perverted understanding of Varnashram. Okay, everybody got that? All right. Now, our next step, will be to go to the slides that are the key memory ones. We want to see the highlights, okay? And you've got them in your text. You have them, so you can take a look at them. We're going to look at 10 slides. And we'll give you a little trick at the beginning. I did a little keyboard here. And to learn how easy it is to remember something, if you just think about it a little bit. Number 27, right? 27, that is a key memory verse. Now look at how important the first section is. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Out of the 9 slokas, 5 of them are important. That tells you something. So what are the key thematic ones? 4, say it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Is that hard? No. Now the last 3 have what number? 3. The first one is what? 13. And the next one is? And Prabhupada's this verse, he said, this is the essence of Bhagavad-Gita. And the last one is what? And that tells us how we can conquer lust and anger. These are very important. Okay, so what's the first one? Your key memory verse, what's the number? 27, Prakriti, Kriyamanani. That means you have to know Prakriti and Ishvara and Jiva and who's doing everything. It's not us. And what are the numbers of the first section? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then the numbers with 3? 13, 30, and 43. Okay, was that hard? No, learn to make it fun. It should be, take a little creativity. All right, let's take a look at the first one really quickly. Aha, now these are how we designed the slides this time. They're integrated. So we have here sloka number what? 27, and this is the spirit soul bewildered by, you fill in, the influence of, thinks himself of activities that are actually carried out by the modes of nature. And these are puppets. That's us. He's pointing, do this. Okay. That's us. Okay, you've got the Sanskrit, everything in one slide now. Much more compact. We really tried to make, so if you have a pen drive, you can have this too, not just your study bag. Yeah? Okay? Next one. Remember what our numbers were? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Number 4. The key word is what? Abstaining. All right. This is a story that they tell a lot. Right? The grasshopper and the ant. The grasshopper didn't want to work, and the ant was renounced. He did work. But the problem is not by merely what? Abstaining from work can you attain what? Freedom from reaction. Nor by renunciation alone can you get. So neither of them get Krishna. You get the idea? It takes Krishna consciousness to get Krishna. You can't just be renounced, you can't be just austere, and you can't give up work. Okay, next. Forced. Everyone is what? Forced to act how? According to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from, not even for a moment. Try it with children. Ever go to the Sunday program and they're running all over the place? That's us, although we're a little bit more under control. But even we have busy. Next. Number 6. This is very important. What's this fellow? He's a pretender. One who restrains the senses of, but whose mind dwells on, certainly himself, and is called a, nice and loud so the people on the radio get the benefit. Remember, you're trying to help the people out in Radio Land who don't get the slides. Next. Oh, what's this? But if you want to be what? You people want to be sincere or pretenders? Sincere. All right. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active by the and begins in Krishna without, he is by far. And we show the brooms because Prabhupada will give you an example. A sweeper in the street is better off than a pretender, because he can make advancement. The pretender can't. Krishna will cheat him. A cheater will be cheated by Krishna. So don't try to cheat. You're up against Krishna. You can't win. Next. There's a bar of soap. It looks like a nice brand. Maybe from the Goshala shop. I don't know. Everybody has to work just to maintain your body. I mean, how much time do you spend washing your clothes, cooking, washing the room? All day long. Perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is then not. One cannot even one's physical body without. Try it someday. After about an hour in this heat, you'll need to take a shower. Next. What's this? Vishnu. Work done as a louder radio land. Sacrifice for Vishnu has to be, otherwise work causes in this material world. Therefore, perform your prescribed duties for, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. That's the benefit. If you want to be bound, keep it for yourself. If you want to be free, do it for Vishnu. That's your choice. We're here because we wanted the fruit. But that's okay. If you want it, good, but you have to suffer. Good or bad, you're stuck. So we don't want to keep doing that. Okay, next one. Okay, this is 3:13. Remember one of the threes? This is the first one. That looks like lunch. Looks good, huh? Food. The devotee of the Lord, the devotees are released from all kinds of sins because they eat, which is offered first for others who prepare for personal sense, verily eat only sin. So always eat prasadam. Don't go across the street and get something, heaven knows what's in it, what they're thinking. It's bad for your consciousness. Okay, there's 3:30. Oh, this is an important one. Remember, there are about 5 points in this sloka. 5 points. Remember, we're teaching you to look, not just get it. Lethargy. Do you know what that means? Lethargy? Yeah, lazy. Inactive. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your unto me. That's number 1. With full knowledge of number 2. Without desires for number 3. Number 4. With no claim to proprietorship. Next. And free from number 6. Do what? That's it. That's everything. So if you want to be Krishna conscious, that's your formula. And the last one. Oh, more puppets. Conquer. How do we conquer lust and anger? Thus, knowing oneself to be to the material, mind and almighty armed, one should steady the by deliberate spiritual Krishna, and thus by spiritual conquer this insatiable known as lust. That's how you do it. Spiritual intelligence, not material. That'll take you the other way. Do you find these slides helpful? They're all integrated. They should make it pretty easy. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're running pretty close on time. We're going to just show you, because tomorrow we're going to look at 25. We'll just take a quick peek at the 25 slides, just 1, 2, 3, real fast. Tomorrow you're going to see 25 analogy slides, and then we'll go through all the verses. And we have a little clip of a movie to show. Just 5 minutes today because we're running over a little bit. Tomorrow we want to stop on time because Gargamuni Prabhu starts at 5:30. So we want to, 6:30. 6:30. So we want to be sure we don't eat into his program. Okay, so quickly go to analogies. And this will be your appetizer. So tomorrow, hopefully you come. Hopefully you bring your study guides. Okay? And this is what you're going to see tomorrow. Now, the secret to doing something is you go through 3 times, not once. Remember the watercolor thing? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, what do we see? What do we see? An old car. Don't even read it. Try to remember the picture. What do you see? Okay, the next one, what do you see? What do you see? Brooms. Okay? And what do you see on the next one? Coloring crayons, pencils. Now you think, what does this have to do with Krishna? We saw an old car, but you see, this is what an analogy does. It connects something that you know with something you need to understand. Okay? Everybody knows old cars, everybody knows brooms, and everybody knows coloring pencils. Next, money. Does everybody know money? Are you thieves? I don't think so. But almost everybody else in the world is. So what's that? And who's that little guy? Krishna. I think you should remember that one. Famous picture. It has a double meaning here. You'll find out tomorrow what it is. Next. Oh, everybody hates this vaccine. Get a big shot, huh? Okay, wonder what that has to do with Krishna consciousness. And, traffic signs. What's that supposed to tell me? We'll find out tomorrow. And here's some people enjoying life. Eat, drink, and be merry. Yeah, does a devotee go for that one? No way. What about the next one? There he is, Janaki. That's the full picture. He's out in the field, and there's Sita. Such a cute painting, huh? I found some adorable pictures when I was in my research. Okay, next one. You know those two fellows? Who's that? Krishna and Arjuna. And we're going to find out what's the purpose of this picture. What's about the next one? Oh, Uncle Sam telling you not to do what? Put out that cigarette. What's that have to do with Krishna consciousness? The idea is to get the picture in your mind, but to be curious to find out, how does this connect with the philosophy? All right, the next one. Oh, too cute. What's this? Little footprints. Whose are those? Krishna's footprints. Right. Next one. Who's this fellow? Shiva. Right. Having something to take on a hot day, huh? You don't try it, right? What's the next picture? Military commanders. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Prabhupada said we have to become yes men. Right now we're no men. No, Krishna. No, no, no. You have to become yes, Krishna. Yes, Krishna. Okay, what's that? You're in the money department, right? Yeah, right. You can relate. You count all the money. Is it yours? No. You won't last long in that office. Next one. Oh, you probably heard about the material world being like this. This is called a ducking stool. They would punish people by putting them underwater, and then when they couldn't breathe anymore, they bring them up just to get enough air and then put them down again. This is material life. Have you noticed? Give you a little break and then more suffering. Give you a little break and then what? More suffering. Everybody agree? Yes. This actually was used up until the latter part of the 1800s. And then they stopped it. But there are museums which still show these ducking stools. Okay, here's a fancy way to go down the road, but does that make it a safe way? Yeah, there's a horse and a carriage and a royal road, and we're going to find out what's that telling us to do or not to do. Okay? Did you get your prasadam? Did you get your prasadam? Okay. And there we have a comparison of two people. Who are they? Vishwamitra and Parsuram. And we're going to hear, well, what's their comparison? What does that have to tell? Okay, next one. Famous analogy. Very famous one. Milk in touch with tamarind makes yogurt. And we're going to have to find out, well, what's that all about? Besides cooking for Krishna. That's what happens when your love turns into lust. And your next one? Hanuman. Called spiritualized wrath. I think you can figure that one out. And we have a couple more. Arjuna. Also, spiritualized wrath. He was ordered to fight. He wasn't ordered to go up to the mountains and retire. And next? A big analogy. Actually, the fourth part has 3 analogies. Big ones. Smoke covers fire. Dust covers a mirror. and the womb covers an ember. Those are different degrees of lust. Lust is actually covering our consciousness. That's why we have to get rid of it. The degree to which you are experiencing lust is the degree to which your consciousness, your original consciousness, is covered. You have to get it off. So that's the process. Okay, and we'll talk more about those tomorrow. And do you put fire on a fuel on the fire? What happens if you put ghee on the fire? Does it put it out? No, it makes it bigger. And your last one? I think we have, shackles. Voluntarily we put them on. Prisoners usually have to be put into shackles, but in the material world we put them on our own. We just do it right ourselves. Nobody even has to make us do it. We're trying to figure out how to take them off. Okay? So, one last one. I forgot. We got 2 more, right? Yes. Again, senses, mind, and intelligence. 3 sitting places of what? Lust. That's in us. Three places. Senses, mind, intelligence. Pretty important. And the last one, how to break the fangs of the serpent. And we're going to find out. Only one way. Krishna consciousness. Okay? So now we're going to watch just a 5-minute little movie. Was that helpful today? And you got an appetizer tomorrow? We'll talk about those analogies a little bit more. And we'll go through all the slokas. We'll read them all together. And that way it should be easy. And take time tonight to look at your paper a little bit. Go through everything. Okay, we're going to see in just a second. You want to just stop it for a second? I just clipped 2 for today and tomorrow. I clipped just a 5-minute portion of this video done by Russians. It's brilliant. It's called Who Are You Human? And the reason I showed this was Prabhupada said a person needs to know the relationship between the soul, the super soul, and nature. This particular portion, it's just 4 minutes of the video, shows you how much we depend on super soul for digestion, metabolism, perception. These processes we do not participate in voluntarily. There has to be a superior intelligence managing this. And if it's not us, then who? You know, anybody who says, I'm doing everything, he's a madman. You're not controlling your digestion, you're not controlling your perception, you're not controlling intuition, none of those processes. They're all being done by Paramatma. So this is our last thing, and after that we will dismiss and hopefully see you tomorrow. Okay, very short. So watch attentively. It's very short, but listen carefully. Brilliant. The Russians designed this. Their thinking on this one is very well done. It's for scientists too. Scientists are hard to convince. Okay?
It's an objective reality given to us in the form of feelings and sensations.
Can everybody hear it?
If the matter is given to us, we are therefore not part of it. This definition makes sense only if we accept that we, as souls, carriers of individual consciousness, accept the body as a biological suit. There is still an open question as to who gave us these very sophisticated costumes, but more on that later. Thus, the body, mind, and soul are in the same relation to each other, like a hot air balloon. The soul, which strives upwards, a basket, physical body, which pulls down the soul, and slings, psyche, connecting a balloon with a basket, or the soul with the body. Another example shows how the body is a machine, the soul, which is in the subtle body shell, a passenger. It remains to find out who is the driver of this complex machine. Obviously, this is not the soul. Science is only now beginning to understand how complex the processes of perception, digestion, metabolism, and other such processes are. But these super complex processes are constantly taking place in the body without our conscious participation. How then can such a complex mechanism work without anyone's conscious control? To understand this puzzle, we will introduce an additional function, superconsciousness. which is located next to the individual soul and controls the activity of the body. This superconsciousness, or the Supreme Soul, is the driver of the body. What are the signs of the presence of superconsciousness in the body? Returning to the illustration of the three bodies, we must ask, what keeps the eternal soul within the temporary body? What is the force that puts us in different situations that we cannot avoid? Obviously, we are not completely independent in life. Quite often, some force adjusts our plans. Where does the force of destiny come from? In this diagram, we see that between the physical and subtle body on one side and the soul on the other side, there is a shining personality which is connecting the soul and the body. The Vedas call it the superconsciousness or supersoul, Paramatma in Sanskrit. It is due to the presence of superconsciousness in the body that such complex processes as metabolism, digestion, and perception are taking place. The superconsciousness is the source of intuition, instinct, inspiration, enlightenment, and the voice of conscience. These processes are constantly taking place in our body and psyche, but we do not even understand the mechanisms of these processes, so they are taking place without our conscious participation. But can we find at least one complex and sequential process that would not have been directed by someone's conscious will? The flow of vehicles on the road, trade or financial flows are directed by specialists in accordance with certain rules. It may seem to an unsophisticated viewer that all the complex processes in the body happen by themselves, but a reasonable person understands that behind every intelligent and planned process there is someone's intelligence. And if it is not us who directs these processes in the body, then who?
That's the question that the scientists can't seem to answer, but the Shastra tells us. It's very important for us, again, Prakriti Kriya Manani, that we are not really the doers in very much. We can only desire to please Krishna, but he has to sanction it and nature carries it out. This is why we showed you this clip. Tomorrow we'll be watching one about spiritual practices, just again 5 minutes. So we've run over time. I thank you for being so patient on a hot day. And we have prasadam. Be sure you take it before you go out. Tomorrow's Ekadasi, so we'll have fruit prasadam for you tomorrow. And I hope you benefited. Haribol. Thank you one time for coming. Hare Krishna. Very good. Radhe Shyam.